Hey, hey. Welcome or welcome back. It is as always good to see you tonight. Sorry, I don't have my my mouse for this laptop is upstairs. So I'm having to use the touchpad and I don't like it. So let's see. Hey Sammy, how you doing? I'm surprised you're awake. I'm actually starting to get sleepy. This could be a mistake. But we're at least gonna start. We're gonna start something. Like we're Michael Jackson. All right. Hey, Liz, you're being Canadian? Oh, it's still early there. You already napped? Hey, Lana, how are you? Hey, Jenny. How are you doing? Who's playing tonight, Liz? Not that I'll know, because I don't really know hockey teams. But I don't know. Well, I'm trying to decide. So when I went to Target the other day after Whole Foods, I did buy Legos. I totally lied. I bought 2 Lego sets. I bought the Peace Lily, and I need a spring wreath for my door. So I bought the spring wreath. So I thought I might do the spring wreath. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think that's what we shall do. The peace lily's pretty. I have a real peace lily in front of me that I brought home from my sister's funeral. So I'll have a fake one and a real one. I'm amazed I've been able to keep it alive. So we're going to do the wreath. We're going to see if I can get the box open. I can. All right. We're already making progress. Oh, it's going to start raining here at like 1 in the morning. So Lego decided they were going to start changing to paper bags so that they would be recyclable. So we have our little book. And I'll be pointing this down so you guys can see what I'm doing too. So how many bags do we have? We have 2, 3, 5, 6. We have 7 bags. So I still have my Shire sitting over here on the kitchen table. Because where I want to put it in the living room is not available yet. Where are we going to put these bags? Put them over here. Put them over here in the chair. If I had anything pretty for you guys to look at behind me, I would open my blinds. But then my neighbors could see in and it'd be kind of creepy. Having my neighbors peering in. So, got a cup of tea in my grab on to my chunk cup. Well, how are you all doing? How's your day going? You know, I don't need my armband on anymore. I'm not working. It looks like we're having an issue here. There's a smaller bag in here There's, if you see this right here, there's a smaller bag inside of the bigger bag, and the smaller bag has been caught in the seal of the bigger bag. You're procrastinating cleaning your kitchen and cutting your son's hair. I think those are good things to procrastinate on. I got a lot of stuff done this evening while listening to Nikki. So I was glad about that. I still have lots of stuff to do. Because, you know, job's never done. So we are going to open all of our bags. I know it's late for everyone. Fixing a light dinner, rough and busy week. Yeah, we haven't seen you much, Sammy. Busy. Oh, damn it. Busy with work or just busy in general? There you are. Oh, sorry. Let me see my fat ass get up so I can reach this Lego piece I dropped. Started editing a video. I need to edit my tattoo video. I need to get that edited. Work has been exhausting. How's your weather up there, Sammy? Did you get a bunch of snow this last week? I have a bunch of little petals. So I'm downstairs at my kitchen table, so I'm just using my little laptop to stream from. Okay, no pieces in there. We're good. Pardon the bat wings. Pardon the pudge. Ugh, let me make it a little less here. You've gotten rain. It's not freezing anymore. That's good. It was 80 degrees here today. Can you believe it? We're supposed to... There have been tornadoes in Michigan and in... you guys can only see my mouth moving, and that is so weird because my mouth moves weird. There was a tornado up in Michigan. 3 people died. There was a tornado in Oklahoma. And there's probably going to be some popping off in Kansas and maybe in Missouri tonight. There's been some really bad weather the last couple days. So be safe if you're getting any storms up your way. Okay, we're going to start with this. And this. And this is going to go on there. So I built another wreath before. I built a Christmas wreath. Yeah, the 80. Yeah, it was crazy. I actually had to turn my AC on for a little bit this evening because it was getting hot down here. I have ceiling fans. My ceiling fan in the living room I don't have up very high, and the one I have in the kitchen I turned off. This used to be a ceiling fan, but I took it out and changed it to just light. Oh, you can't see it, to just lights. Your boyfriend just walked into your room and farted. I'm tired of having to share me. You know, Lana, I hate to say it, but what your boyfriend did is totally something I would do to my girlfriend. I would totally do that to her. Like, and then leave. I would totally do that. It was 70s for you? Yeah, it was toasty today. I think Tennessee might get some nasty weather too, Jenny. You be careful. Okay, we got that. And your husband does that too. Okay, gonna put one of these here. This is gonna go here. That's gonna go there. You mean farter or the fatter? Because I'm also the fatter in relationships typically. Fatter, farter, you know. I'm both, Lana. I'm both. Sammy says, my soon to be ex husband and I exchanged texts today about how much we both hate each other. Sammy. Well, it's nice that you can share that bond. I haven't trusted a fart in a few years now, girl. I feel you. Okay. 2 of these. Nice exchange and no more farts. Not even your own? Oh, get on there. There we go. All right. So here's what we got. After 40, you learn not to. Jenny, I feel you, honey. It's, you know, I've hit that stage too. Why are you not? There we go. It just needed a little gentle persuasion there. Okay, step number 5. I need one of these pieces, 2 of these. One of these, 2 of those. I don't see any of those pieces, and that bothers me a little bit. That was you're putting some ass behind it. Well, it doesn't want me to sit on it. That would be horrible. Why do I not see? I didn't drop any pieces. There aren't any pieces left in the bag, I don't think. It does happen sometimes. Sometimes some pieces get stuck. Okay. Aha. Found them. Okay, now we have this here. This goes right there. This goes behind it. is going to tell me about your day, y'all. I don't have any music or anything that I can play. I probably could pull up something and play it for y'all, like some copyright free or something to entertain you. Because I'm not very entertaining, unfortunately. Okay, here's where we are. I know finding the right piece is half the puzzle. I couldn't find these pieces here. These little, where's my camera? There it is. I couldn't find these two little pieces right there. Okay, now we need 2 of these and 4 of these little bad boys. And the 21 Pilots video you play hasn't been flagged yet. Interesting. They may not have it set up to flag their music. They may not care. They seem pretty decent. And that goes there. Okay, so that's what we have so far. That sounds horrible, Lana. Are you an accountant? Oh, lo-fi versions would, yeah, that could be it. I don't know. Let me see. Again, I don't have my, oh, you know what? I think last time I was on here playing or doing some videos, I think I listened to something on YouTube. You guys want to watch Ryan Hall's weather? You want to listen to some Goatman stories? Let me share a tab. You're a staff accountant. You're finishing your bachelor's in accounting at the moment. Well, that's awesome. I would not enjoy that. People wouldn't enjoy my job either. But that must be a lot of work, and it's pretty important having to make sure that you get everything right and get the books right and to keep the company in order. You're house hunting. You're heading out of Brooklyn. Where are you going to go, Sammy? Getting out of Brooklyn. Let me know if this is too loud.
Scary Story Time. I'm Ashley, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the Goat Man. This is a legend that I have had requests to cover for a long time, and I hadn't really heard of the Goat Man. I knew almost nothing about it, but after seeing how many requests I had and then seeing how many stories I had gotten about this creature, I realized I had to dedicate an entire episode to this because some of these stories are so good. They're so creepy, and I just want to keep it light this week in a continuation of the other episode I published earlier this week about other kinds of cryptids, including the Australian brawler
I don't
and
have my
Bigfoot.
mouse.
I don't know. I think we all just need a
I'm having to use
collective
the pad.
distraction right now from everybody fighting
South
on the
Jersey
internet.
and
So
Florida.
whether you believe in the
Oh,
goat man or not,
Sammy,
and
you
you just
can
want to
go
look at
move in
these
next to
as entertainment,
Rosie.
or if you actually want to do some research, I'm doing my best to include stories from across the board from different areas.
Move
I know the goat
into
man is primarily a legend
bird
in the DMV area.
preserve
That's
area.
District of Columbia, Washington, Maryland, Virginia. I know that a lot of people in that area believe in the goat man and that this is a popular legend around that area. Me not being from that area, I had never heard of it, like I said, but I did my best to research this as fully as I could while covering these stories. And so I'm going to include some things that I found in researching this topic as well. I'm going to read you 5 different emails that I have received about the goat man, and you'll see that these differ in region and in descriptions of this creature. So whatever it is, you have to form your own opinion. Also keep in mind, with any story that I cover on Spooky Scary Storytime, I just receive these in email format. So I try to, in order to not get sued, approach every episode by saying these are for entertainment purposes only. I cannot prove the validity of any of these emails. Okay, these could be from anyone. However, I also encourage you to send your Spooky Scary Story Time because that's what makes it cool. I generally believe a lot of these people just in the way that they share their feelings throughout the stories. I feel like that's what makes these stories feel authentic to me as I read through them. But I encourage you to use your own discernment. That said, please don't bully anyone in the comments because these people, even if they are anonymous, will be reading the comments. Okay, so if you have nothing nice to say, feel free to move along. We always welcome constructive criticism. Just don't call people crazy or things like that. Here is that first story from a park ranger. I don't usually write things like this, but after catching a few of your episodes about local legends, I figured I'd finally share what happened on one of my overnight shifts. I was a ranger attached to security detail around the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center back in the early 2000s. The facility is surrounded by big swaths of government-owned farmland and woods. Most people don't even realize how much wild space exists behind those gates. It was late fall and the air was heavy because it had been raining all week when the motion alarms along the fence kept tripping.
Welcome in, folks.
At first, we chalked it up to deer, which happens all the time, but the pattern was strange because alarms were flaring in a line, which meant something or someone was pacing the perimeter. I drove out with one of the guards to check the sensors. That's when we heard hooves, but not the light stepping sound you'd expect from a deer or a goat. These were heavy, deliberate, and fast, circling beyond the reach of our floodlight. Every time we swung the beam toward the sound stopped. When we finally caught sight of it, my stomach turned. The thing was crouched at the tree line, higher than any buck. It had broad shoulders, long arms braced against the dirt, and horns that curved back over its head. I had no idea what I was looking at, and I remember blinking my eyes a couple times because I really thought I might be hallucinating. Its eyes reflected green like an animal's, but there was something calculating in them, like it recognized me and was looking through me instead of at me. It shifted, dropped to all fours, and the sound of its hooves on the gravel was louder than it should have been. It sounded like an earthquake. Before we could react, it bolted faster than anything I've ever seen on 2 legs or 4, as fast as I imagine a cheetah could move, but moving like a deer.
One goes there.
By the time we reached the fence, all that remained were deep prints in the mud. We went to check them out, and they were all cleft like a goat's, but the stride was human long. We filed a report, but our supervisor told us to leave the incident out of the nightly log. Probably a prankster in costume, he told us, though none of us believed it. A week later, the area was closed for equipment testing, and we weren't assigned there again. A few nights later, I was back on a different post when Carl, one of the older security guys, came out to smoke. He'd been there since the late 80s and knew every strange rumor that passed through Goddard. He asked pretty quiet if I'd seen the thing by the fence. When I nodded, he just shook his head and said, "So you met the goat man." According to Carl, folks around Bowie and the old Beltsville farms have whispered about him for decades. Not as a lab escapee, but as something far older. He said his grandmother, who is native, told stories of a walker between worlds, a spirit with hooves who could cross from one place to another when the air went still, usually at the edge of a clearing or where 2 creeks meet. Carl swore he had seen it himself years before my encounter. He said he was posted by the water tower on a morning dawn when the woods went completely quiet. Then he said out of the mist, he saw a figure that was tall, rough-haired, with horns sweeping back over its head. He said it moved strangely, like its legs didn't belong in this world, and the air around it shimmered, as if heat were rising off cold ground. He said he'd locked eyes with it, and for a second he felt like he was being pulled somewhere else, a place where trees bent in impossible directions, like the world was upside down. Then it blinked and the shimmer was gone. The thing turned and slipped between the trees, leaving only the smell of wet earth and copper. Carl told me that some legends warn the goat man doesn't just guard the woods. He said that he hunts anyone foolish enough to follow him across.
Oh, wrong side.
He then told me that the fence we have isn't to keep people out.
Follow directions.
It's to keep him in most of the time, or at least to prevent others from seeing it. I laughed it off while he was in there, but I didn't sleep much after that.
Hmm.
Even now, I can't drive past those farms at night without checking the tree line. After talking with Carl, I couldn't shake what he said about the traveling dimensional spirit or that old native legend he claimed. So I pulled out every archive I could get my hands on: libraries, county folklore folders, university papers, anything about the goat man and the indigenous legends of this land. You should look into it. There is more that points toward the existence of this creature than not. What do you guys think? Because to me, park ranger stories are sometimes the creepiest ones. I don't know if it's because I just think of park rangers as
do have creepy
typically
stories.
logical people who probably see a lot of strange and creepy things being in the woods at night all the time. And so whenever there's something that unsettles them, it unsettles me. We're moving across the country for this next story, and I'm just going to patch in the video that I posted about this last night. But this is from a blackjack dealer in Las Vegas who said he had a strange regular called Mr. Sage who told him about how he encountered the goat man. If you follow me on short form platforms, you may have heard me tell this story already. If you have, just skip forward, and here is the timestamp where you can skip to in order to bypass this story, because the others in this episode I have not yet told.
Well, let me pause
Blackjack dealer
here.
messaged and told me about the strangest regular.
Chocolate Cake Queef says, I grew up right next to the cemetery. The stories I could tell, my house was built on tribal burial grounds. So many of the people who lived in houses on the street behind me died under suspicious circumstances. Ooh. Interesting, Chocolate Cake Queef. Interesting. Let me... Oh, hey, look at that. I can do that in StreamYards now, too. That's pretty sweet. I didn't know StreamYards could do that now. Hey, Maggie love. It's all good. How you doing, sweetie?
He ever had in the story he told him about meeting the goat man. Now they call this regular Mr. Sage because Mr. Sage always wore sage green suits. Not always, but a lot of the time. And everybody in the casino knew him because he was a regular. He wasn't overly friendly, but he and this blackjack dealer had sort of a rapport. The casino was an older one off the main strip in Las Vegas, and there were a lot of slow nights in off season. Mr. Sage would only come in when it was slow, and the blackjack dealer liked him because even though he was kind of quiet, he had this really funny, dry sense of humor, and his token line was, let's see if Lady Luck is taking bribes tonight. And he always bet with $333. Okay, that's important for later. Mr. Sage was probably in his mid-50s. He had slicked back silver hair, and he wore these like old-timey suits that kind of reminded this blackjack dealer of like Rat Pack era. He had a heavy turquoise ring that he always wore on his pinky, and everybody in the casino like knew who this guy was. And some of them even whispered stories about him. Like one of the cocktail waitresses said that her boyfriend was one of the maintenance guys for the casino, and one day Mr. Sage had approached him and started asking him all kinds of questions about the energetic harmonics of the building, whatever that meant. The valet guys was a rideshare driver on the side or something, and said that one night he dropped him off way down in the desert where there was like no turnoff point and no vehicle. But anyway, all of this was just rumor, right? This guy had a lot of mystery around him. And this blackjack dealer said that that was pretty strange because like they had a lot of strange people that would come in this casino, but Mr. Sage was just the strangest. So in February of 2023, he's working one night and it is just completely dead in this casino. He said it was so quiet you could hear the ice machine humming from down the hall. And Mr. Sage is the only one at his table. So he's like trying to make conversation. They had that kind of rapport. And he mentions to Mr. Sage that he and his wife are going to take a little quick getaway. They're going to go hiking and stargazing in the Valley of Fire, and they rented a little cabin in Overton. Mr. Sage stopped what he was doing and he says, Valley of Fire, it's the wrong time of year for that. Blackjack dealer's like, no, we're avid hikers. It's February. It's only going to be like 60s, 70s. Like it's too hot in the summer, I know, but like February is perfect for it. So what do you mean wrong time? And Mr. Sage is like, you ever spend much time in the desert? And the dealer's like, yeah, I've been out there. I grew up here. And he's like, well, have you ever seen a shack that moves in the opposite direction of the wind? And the dealer's like, no. And he thinks he's about to crack another joke because Mr. Sage would say things like, oh, the house always wins unless the house is haunted, and just like silly things like that. So he was waiting for this punchline. But Mr. Sage doesn't smile or anything. He just like leans in over the table and he's like, I like you and I fear for your safety and I don't feel like you should go out there at this time of year. Blackjack dealer brushes him off and he says, we'll be fine. I promise. I'll see you this time next week. And Mr. Sage stands up and he says, okay, but promise me if you hear hooves in the desert, you will not turn around because turning around lets it decide which version of you it wants. Again, the blackjack dealer is just waiting for this punchline, but it doesn't come. And so he just kind of goes
That's
back to what he's
That's
doing,
creepy.
but he couldn't let it go. And so finally he says, okay, what are the hooves? What are you talking about? Mr. Sage just looks at him for a long minute, like he's studying him, deciding if he wants to say something. And he averts his eyes and he looks down and he says kind of quietly, like in a hushed voice, he's like, well, people call it the Goat Man, but that name is just like a shadow of what it is. That's not really what it is. It's kind of this traveler between worlds. Tells him it's not an animal, it's like a collector, it's a news carrier of sorts, and it carries news
I
and
gotta do
pieces
this
of
5
people
times.
between dimensions. Blackjack dealer's kind of just like, well, you lost me. And Mr. Sage is like, well, think about it, like it takes the futures of people
Okay,
who might have
fun.
chosen a different path. Blackjack dealer says that this is not normally something that he would have bought into. Like he's not
Oh
a
my
superstitious
God.
person. He doesn't really believe in things like that. But he felt the
Horrible.
way that he said it made all of the hair on his like arms raise. Like he was just generally creeped out. And so he said, how do you know this? And Mr. Sage says, well, one day I made the mistake of turning around and looking at it. Tells the blackjack dealer that when he was in his 30s, he'd worked a job surveying power lines near the Sloan Canyon. It was a night in February, and he said he was out one night past dusk and all of the wind died down and he heard the crunching of hooves behind him. And he thought it was a stray burro. So he turned around. But when he turned around, he said the world split. Like the world split into nothing made sense. Time made no sense. Space made no sense. And about 20 feet away, he saw himself, like another version, standing there staring off in a different direction of the desert. And behind this other version of himself, he saw a tall, shadowy feature with horns protruding from its head. And he looks up and he looks back at the blackjack dealer and he said, he didn't take me. I got lucky maybe, but says, you know, I've spent enough time out there to know that there are other things that live out there and they're interested in us. And so you have to promise me if you hear hooves behind you, just don't turn around. Blackjack dealer said after he
Creepy.
told him this, it was so quiet in the casino, like he didn't know what to say. Like he was just looking at him. He wasn't sure if he should believe him or not. So finally he just says, well, has anything strange ever happened to you? Mr. Sage looks at him again and he says, yeah, more than I'd like to admit. And so the blackjack dealer's like, what? And he's like, well, cards started turning up. I would find them all over. And I thought it was just because I was on the strip, you know, but they were always threes. And then one night I just came to in a diner. I had no recollection of driving there. Waitress was dropping off my bill and it was $3.33 for a cup of coffee. Then he looks down and he motions to his stacks of chips, which are set into stacks of threes. And he says, that's why I buy into this amount. Like it keeps me tethered. If I keep it in check, then I can keep everything in check. So the dealer laughs and he says, I think that you're just superstitious. A lot of people that come in here are superstitious about numbers. And Mr. Sage says, no, every time the number shows up, it means the line is thin that night. It means I should mind my footing. And the more that I do this, the more it keeps that line in check. The dealer says, what lines? And Mr.
I've been
Sage says,
listening to
ley
her for
lines. And he said, it's
about a week
essentially the
now.
earth's veins. He said, you can look at maps, but ley lines don't run with roads. He says they run with the energetic grid of the earth.
I also really like the Ghost Teas podcast. But I've been listening to Ashley Inker for the last week because I'm caught up on Ghost Teas, I think.
Earth, and some nights those lines get thin. And when the lines get thin, that's when things cross over. Then he says, enough of that. That's why I warned you about the Valley of Fire this time of year, because the lines get thin this time of year, and I don't want you to get caught on the wrong
Satan
side
used
of
to
it.
get a bad
So the
rap.
dealer's like, well, what happens if I get caught on the wrong side of it, you know? And he says, well, said it's a collector. Like it'll notice your debts. It'll notice your debts and the opportunities that you
They're
didn't
usually
take
not
along the way, and
Satanists
it'll take those from
that
you.
do that.
Missed opportunities, your wrong choices, the decisions you didn't make. It's keeping a tally. Wants the versions of you that you might have been. And the dealer's like, to do what with? And he just shrugs and he says, I don't know. He says, I don't want to find out again. He's like, that's why I stay anchored. And he points to his chips. He says, but I can't stop it. I've already seen it. I can't bargain with it. So I just pay attention to the signs. 333s, the hooves, the shadows, the energetic vibration
Heart
of
start
where I'm at.
pounding.
And
I'll
that's
look
how I
into that
stay
one.
clear of it and stay tethered to the version of myself that I am. Then he taps the table 3 times, which seemed deliberate. And he says, you know, I think that's a sign enough for tonight. Stands up and he says,
I
you
haven't
know,
heard
I
that
know it
one.
sounds crazy, but I wouldn't be telling you this if I didn't like you. But there are things out there that collect debts you did not even know you owed. He said, do your best to stay clear of him. And after that night, Mr. Sage never came back in the casino. Now, regarding that story, the blackjack dealer ended his email by saying that he and his wife did, in fact, go hiking and camping in Overton
He's
that
reading
weekend.
stories
He did say some creepy things
from
happened.
people.
However, he didn't go into detail. So I emailed him back. I sent him the link to the original video of that. And I'm hoping that he gets back to me because I really want to know what happened next. I was so intrigued by that story. I've got a few more about the Goat Man, but before I get into those, I actually want to tell you guys a little bit about what I found in my own research about the Goat Man. This is unsettling to say the least. So first, let's talk about the 1971 Lizama paper, which is essentially the birth of the Goat Man legend. In May of 1971, George Lizama, who was a student at the University of Maryland, submitted an undergraduate folklore project titled The Goat Man of Tucker Road. And for his assignment, Uzama conducted interviews with local residents in Prince George's County, Maryland, collecting various versions of the Goatman legend. And these accounts described a creature resembling a man with a goat's face,
I
often
think I've heard of
associated with
that.
eerie noises, dog deaths, and sightings along roads like Tucker Road in Clinton, Maryland. Lizima's paper was then archived in the Maryland Folklore Archives, where it remained relatively obscure until October of 1971. And at that time, reporter Karen Holster discovered the paper and published an article in the Prince George's County News, which brought the Goatman legend to a wider audience. Holzer's report suggested that the origins of the Goatman might be linked to the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center, which added a layer of intrigue to the tale. Now, following the publication of Holzer's article, the Goatman legend gained significant traction in the local community. By November of 1971, a follow-up story reported the decapitation of a family dog in Bowie, Maryland, which residents then attributed to the Goatman. That incident fueled public fear and fascination, leading to increased reports of sightings and encounters. The legend kind of became a
I'm
rite of
sorry,
passage for
chocolate
local
cake
teenagers
leaf.
who would then venture out to areas like
Do you need me
Fletchertown
to
Road in
turn
search of
things
this
up?
creature. The Goatman even made its way into popular culture, being referenced in the 1973 film American Graffiti and inspiring various local legends and folklore. From there, several origin stories from the Goatman
Five
kind of
of these.
emerged. There was the mad scientist theory, which is a popular narrative that suggests that a scientist at the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center named Dr. Stephen Fletcher conducted a
Okay.
failed experiment
Now
to
we have to
combine
put
human
all
and goat
these onto
DNA,
here.
resulting in the creation of the Goatman. And then there's the hermit theory, which is another version of the origin story that portrays the Goatman as a reclusive hermit with a goat-like appearance who lives in the woods and occasionally terrorizes locals. These varying stories contributed to the Goatman's enduring presence in Maryland's folklore. Now, for those of you who are interested in exploring this further and exploring George Lizima's original 1971 paper, you can find it in the Maryland Folklife Archives at the University of Maryland. In researching this, I was also interested in exploring the native folklore around it. And I want to be very careful when
Okay.
covering native folklore because I'm not native. However, everything that I have found has been documented. And so I feel like it's fair use information. None of these are my own opinions. Okay. So this legend also seems to be rooted deeply in the region's Native American folklore in Maryland, particularly that of the Piscataway people, whose ancestral lands encompass much of the present-day
I'm
Prince George's
glad
County.
Rory is being a good pupper.
Their spiritual beliefs seem to be rich
Such
with
a good
stories of
boy.
liminal beings, which are entities that
Let
inhabit
these
the
go in
thresholds
here.
between worlds, such as the boundaries of water and land, or the transitions between day and night. And the Piscataway worldview is deeply intertwined with the natural environment. They believe in a supreme being named Menet, who directed lesser deities, and creation began in the waters, and a woman, often referred to as Sky Woman, descended through a hole in the clouds, and she was aided by various animals and ended up landing on the back of a turtle floating in a great sea. And their creation narrative sort of amplifies this significance in their
Turtles all
culture
the
of
way
natural
down.
elements and spiritual connections. Their reverence for natural thresholds, places where different elements meet, aligns with their broader beliefs in
He's a good
liminality.
boy. You
So
don't
these
listen to
beings
her,
then
Rory.
are sort of guardians of nature and ancestral knowledge, often becoming visible only to those who approach with respect and understanding. And their presence in the liminal spaces of the forest echoes the characteristics attributed to the Goatman, who is an entity essentially associated with the margins of human habitation, such as forests and backroads. And while there's no direct record of the Goatman in Piscataway mythology, the creature seems to embody these themes, right? Like these themes that are already present in their folklore. The Goatman's association with eerie noises, for example, sightings along back roads, and its depiction as a horned hoof being
Yes,
resonate
you're
with the
right. You're a good
characteristics
boy,
of
Rory.
liminal spirits in Native American traditions. All of that said, then I would argue that the Goatman legend, as collected by George Lezima in
No, I need this
1971,
piece.
reflects
Whoops.
a modern manifestation of these ancient themes, right? Like the creature's presence in areas like Fletchertown Road near the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center places it at the intersection of human development and then the natural world, which is essentially a threshold space where the known meets the unknown. And I guess that could be said about the desert too, right? Like certain places are developed in the desert as tourist destinations that were once sacred as parts of the natural world.
Like a,
So all of that
depending
said,
on what
what
it
I
is, doesn't take
conclude
me
about
too
the
long
Goatman,
usually.
at least, and I could be way off here, so I'm curious to know y'all's thoughts as well. But in my mind, the Goatman is less likely to be a mutated scientist or just a ghost story, but probably more as like a folkloric archetype given flesh through thought form by science and fear. It's something that began as a myth, was overlaid with experimental rumors, and then reinforced by repeated sightings. And though each one was different, each one suggests that he's not bound by the laws that we expect. This next story came from someone named Abby in Arizona,
Deserts are
and that's
creepy.
actually pretty close to where that last story takes place. So that's an interesting thing to note.
Got this one. Now this.
I'd like to share the story of when my brother and I encountered the goat man. I was around 7 years old at the time, and so my memory of certain details is a little hazy, but I'll share what I can. My family and I were on vacation at the Scottsdale Plaza Resort in Arizona, staying in one of their many villas.
We're getting all cozy in bed with Maggie.
On our first night there, my dad sent my brother out to get some ice from the machine outside, and I decided to join him for some fresh air. As we walked, I noticed a figure standing on a balcony. As we got closer, I could clearly make out his features. The man had a body of a human, but his head was like a goat's with horns and hooves. My brother and I were frozen in place, just staring at it. I turned briefly to check on my brother, who was still getting the ice, but also staring at the goat man.
Snuggle up to Maggie.
When I looked back, the figure was gone. Panicked, we rushed back into the villa and immediately told our parents what we had seen. That night, my dad heard cries coming from the outside, and he woke us all up and made us all sleep in the same room as him. When we returned home from vacation, my family did some research on the place, but found nothing that could explain what we encountered. I recently searched if others might have had similar experiences, but I couldn't find anything. I'm not sure if it was some sort of mask, but it remains one of the most unsettling moments of my life, and I remember it vividly. I'm reaching out with the hope that one of your viewers might have an explanation or theory on what my brother and I saw that night. Short, but to the point,
Bad
right?
one.
And I think that that's what makes these stories so unsettling, is that there's so many sightings of this creature. This
Got
next
two
story is
extra
from someone named
pieces.
Latasha, who says that her sister will actually vouch that they saw this as well.
Bag 2.
Latasha and her sister say that they saw a satyr,
Pat,
which
pat,
is
pat,
a creature
pat,
from
pat,
Greek
pat, pat.
mythology. It's part
There
human
you go,
and part
Maggie
goat,
love.
and they typically have the upper body of a man with the same torso, arms, and sometimes a bearded face as a man would, but then they have the legs, tail, and sometimes horns of a goat. In mythology, satyrs are often associated with certain gods, and they represent wild, untamed nature, lust, and mischief. And in later European folklore and fantasy, like in Narnia or Dungeons and Dragons, satyrs appear as woodland spirits or fawn-like beings. They're playful, but sometimes dangerous. Latasha says this story takes place 27 years ago. She said she was pregnant with her first son, and her teen sister Felicia worked at a fast food restaurant about 4 blocks from their house. It was during the summer, and her sister was closing on this particular night. Latasha picked her up from work, and it was around 12:30 in the morning. The drive to pick her up was uneventful, but on the drive back, they saw something. It crossed the street right in front of them. She said she had to slam on the brakes because it came out of absolutely nowhere. It just appeared in front of the car. It walked upright, but had the lower body of an animal, maybe a goat, but a humanoid upper body. It didn't have skin like a man, but was covered in fur. She said when we researched what we saw, the closest thing we could come up with was a satyr, but whatever it was, she felt like it was malevolent. She said as they looked at it, it turned and looked them dead in the eyes knowingly, and it had a sinister look. She turned to her sister and said,
Oh,
"Do
no,
you see what I
Jenny.
see?" And her sister was like, "Yeah, I see it." And she said they were both so scared, and they
You're
both
having a
promised
rough
not to
start
tell
to your
anyone
day.
because they were like, "Are we collectively hallucinating? Like, what's going on?" And she said neither of them actually even talked about it with anyone else for over 20 years. A little more context. She said the house that they had stopped in front of was this really beautiful house,
You
but
met him?
it stays perpetually empty,
that
and the
go?
landlord cannot keep tenants. Renters claim that the house is haunted, and the last renters were a very religious family who immigrated from South America and were very familiar with the spirit world. She said they were the longest tenants for over 2 years, and they had Catholic candles all around the perimeter of the house, but they too ended up moving. She said, I don't think that house has been rented now for over 5 years. And it's a really nice house, mind you, around 2,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, and a full basement. It's listed at around $250,000 in their small town. And she said, for this house to remain empty in their area is very telling. I'm not sure where Latasha and her sister's story takes place. However, I think it's safe to say that these stories are coming from all over. So no area, at least in the US, I don't think is off limits for this creature to appear necessarily. This final story comes to us again from the DMV area in
The werewolf
Virginia.
and the dog
This
man are
story
two
gave me
very
that
different
feeling
things.
of how I used to feel when I would read old Goosebumps books or
These
scary
blankets are
stories
nice,
to tell in the
Maggie.
dark. That just inherent
Okay, so these
feeling of
pieces are going to
dread, like
go
something else
on
is out there.
here.
You'll see what I'm talking about when I read you this story.
No, they're going here. They're going on this piece here next to the...
You can call me Tom for this story, and you may have heard of the Goat Man before. Even though I'm from the DMV area, I never gave much thought to those stories myself until one night when my wife and I had what I can only describe as a brush with him.
Maggie's below me.
We were driving back late after a wedding, somewhere near one of those wooded back roads in the DMV area. Although I don't want to give too much away about where I live because I don't want anyone that I know to hear that I told this story. You know how people are. They're really quick to label you as crazy.
That's in your
if you start
price range.
talking about these
Go
things
get
out
it,
loud,
Sammy.
And I like to think of myself as a logical person. Anyway, it was quiet and later than we were meant to be out. It was the kind of dark where your headlights seemed to disappear just a few feet ahead of you with your headlights. I remember thinking that the trees looked off. The branches seemed to bend closer toward the road, almost like they were
I'm
leaning
going
in
to
to watch
pause
us.
real quick because I want to read this real quick. So, sorry, again, I don't have my mouse with me, so I have to use the stupid touchpad. Chocolate Cake Queef says, I actually Ubered a werewolf. It was a creepy conversation. I picked him up at 2 a.m. and he was dressed like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. I picked him up at an oddity museum. Hey, Nikki. Time for you to do your chores now. Feed those critters. Even his luggage looked like it was straight out of the 1940s. He swore he was a werewolf. I believed him. I think he may have had mental issues because werewolves don't exist. We're going to hope they don't exist. He was kind of hot. I considered going inside with him. Chocolate Cake Queef. Like, yeah, I kind of thought about. Got that. And I did not, unfortunately. You know, it would be interesting if someday vampires and werewolves did exist and they're like, yeah, we've just been hiding this whole time. We're real. I have several urban fantasy books, urban fantasy books kind of on that premise. And Jenny Lynn, unfortunately, girl, you might have to be chained up once a month during the full moon. Absolutely, Nikki. I feel ya. Yeah, I mean, I've been online. I feel like I've been at my desk just the entire week. So tonight I wanted to just get up and move around the house and take care of some chores for a few hours this evening to get out of my office for a little bit. And then doing some streaming tonight. At least I'm at my my dining room table and I'm not upstairs at my desk. Totally feel you. I've been between work and streaming, I've just been chained to my freaking desk. I don't have much of a life. Chocolate Cake Weef. I need to get some every once in a while. Girl. Got a pink one of these. Trying to figure out if it's going to rain because you need to wash your bedding and it looks ominous. Ah, you hang your stuff out to dry in the summer? Check that weather forecast. It's supposed to start raining here in about an hour and a half. It's very stormy. Okay. Got that piece. Boop, boop, boop. Right, Jenny? Like I don't do anything to vlog anymore. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything until I go to Springfield in June and then go to Gen Con. Okay, we're going to put 3 of these. Between trying to keep up with my YouTube channel, trying to keep content on it, and my jobs, I just don't have a lot of time for much else. I always say it's a good thing I am single. My poor girlfriend would probably feel neglected. I would try to make time. I really would. A couple nights a week, spend time together. But I mean, who am I kidding? I'd be in a long distance relationship because then I wouldn't have to I wouldn't be as obligated to spend time with her. I'm awful. It is peoply out there. Nikki says they're so expensive to run, Jenny. My electric for 4 people is $1,500 a quarter. Damn. I don't know. So that's every 3 months. So it's $500 a month. Some people's bills here in the US can get pretty high, but God, that's expensive. Right, chocolate cake queef, single life isn't too bad. Just sometimes it'd be nice to have somebody to do stuff with, or snuggle, or just to be able to talk to about your day or fix dinner with and just spend time with. Sometimes I think it'd be nice, and that's when I sign up for dating apps. And then I promptly remember why I don't like the dating apps and then I cancel them. Not all of us can be like Amber Lynn and have women flying into our DMs on Instagram. Okay, one of these, two of these little flowers. Let's see, Chad and I are going to a cabin next weekend for your enter. Oh, that sounds wonderful. All these grown ass people in my house. That is crazy, Nikki. No AC needed yet. I haven't had to have my heat on as much here, at least. Australia is expensive, but most people are paid well. Not me because I'm a pussy. Oh, Nikki. You are not. I'll need to super chat you more often to pay for your electric bill for your streaming. Jesus. That's crazy expensive. One of those, one of those, one of these, and one of these. I do like spring. Yeah, tell them to give you a raise, Nikki. Be like, listen here. I am a hard worker. I do my job well. You need to give me a raise. This goes here. I'll turn the story back on in a second. Let me get these pieces on. Me and my boss both don't like talking about money. 10 plus years on the same wage. Oh my God. But balance because I take Millie with me and I literally stream and edit there when it's not busy. You need a raise. 10 years? No. There has surely been an increase in the cost of living in Australia in the last 10 years, hun. You need to get a pay raise. I mean, granted, I work for corporations and I get yearly merit increases typically, although one of the companies I work for is not doing great. Definitely, but I don't do much most days. Girl. Okay, we have that little piece done. Get your raise.
Pass. It was an extremely eerie feeling. My wife was a little intoxicated as we had a lot of fun at the reception, but she even mentioned that she felt like something was following us, though neither of us saw another pair of headlights the entire stretch. A few minutes later, we both heard it.
Am
At
I
first, I
supposed
thought
to
it was
on
just
this one?
something shifting in the trunk, but then it came again. There was this
Oh
heavy,
my
deliberate
goodness.
clop clop right over our heads. That's the only way I know how to describe it. But it was
My
another
mid's
and
worth more.
another. And then we realized it was hooves. It was clear as day, walking across the roof of our car. We were frozen in
Sammy,
place, listening to the sound of something pacing up there, like it was walking back and forth and deciding whether to come
you
down.
deserve a raise too.
Granted, we were still moving, so I pulled over so fast and my heart was pounding,
I don't
expecting to
ask
see
for
dents or
raises
maybe
because
even an
I'm
animal sliding off.
compensated
But when I
quite
looked around,
well,
there was nothing. The road behind us was empty. The woods were completely
and we
still
have
and
merit
quiet, but even
increases
the
each
air felt
year.
heavy and strange, like everything around us was holding its breath. We drove the rest of the way home in silence. Neither of us could shake the feeling that it hadn't just been our imagination, that maybe it was the goat man who had decided to
I
walk
don't think we're
across
going to
our
get
car that
raises at
night. I
job
want to
two.
mention that I had not had anything to drink. I have been sober for 17 years, though, like I said, my wife was
And
intoxicated.
that's
We
fine.
both heard
I'm
the
doing that
sound.
one.
So, what do you guys think it is? Because I just might be a believer now. If you have a story of your own about the goat
I don't
man or anything else spooky, it
always
could
do
just be
40
a creepy
hours a week
roommate
for
story,
them.
please feel free to send it to me. My website is dogoodstaybad.com. You can fill out the form on the story submissions page and just let me know if you want to be named or anonymous. I don't mind tagging people, and I also respect and understand the stigma that's attached sometimes when telling these types of stories. But either way, privacy is important to me. So just let me know and I'll make it happen. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope everybody is doing well and spreading love out there. If you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to this channel. If you are listening to this on YouTube, there is a new feature called the hype button. And if you hit that, I think it's free from what I understand. If you hit that, it actually boosts my video. I'm really trying to expand my YouTube outreach. I know that a lot of you guys love these stories, and hitting that button or just leaving a comment or
Yeah,
liking the video will
they need
help
to
it
pay
reach
more
more
than
people,
that.
and then in turn helps me out and
The
helps me
performance
tell
raises
more
are based
spooky
on
scary
production
stories.
skills.
I have merch on my website, including a cute little spooky scary story
I
time mug,
understand
some Do
that.
Good Stay Bad shirts and sweatshirts. I have a Patreon. If you want to show monthly support, I think you can sign up for as little as $3
Hey
a month.
Liz, yeah, I'm
If
still
not,
building
that's
my
totally
Lego.
okay. I appreciate all of your attention and you just being here and being part of this community. It's amazing. I cannot tell you guys how much I enjoy engaging with you and appreciate you all trusting me enough to share your spooky, scary stories. Until next time, I'll see ya.
Take care of those cages. Let's find one I haven't listened to yet from her. This one's kind of interesting. I dated a warlock. Let's listen to that one. I've heard it already, but
Welcome back to Spooky Scary Storytime, the series where we share listeners' allegedly true stories about the creepiest, craziest, or most unbelievable things that they've never shared before. We don't judge here. We do supernatural stories. We do just crazy roommate stories. But today's episode is all about love gone wrong or spooky, scary dating stories.
I'm just listening to some stories from Ashley Inc. They're like some spooky stories. Stressful hockey game. Did you win? $17 back in 2001's really good wages, Chocolate Cake Queef. You're off on it. Hey, sometimes that's a good place to be.
Some of these deal with the paranormal, some do not. We even have a story about a crazy mother-in-law who, if you have a bad mother-in-law, this will put her to shame. I was hoping to get this episode out before Valentine's Day, hence the theme, but I'm a little bit under the weather and I was out of town. So things have been a little bit chaotic, but I hope you guys are all having an amazing February. I hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day, whether you're single or whether you're with a partner. Either way, these stories will make you feel grateful for what you have or grateful that you are single. So I hope you enjoy. We'll get to it. A guy named Lou DMs me, right? And he says, I dated this woman who I don't think was entirely human. I think she was a succubus. Whether she was a succubus or this woman was just a little freaky, I will let you decide. So Lou says that this took place about 15 years ago. He was in his like mid-20s. Lou starts hanging out with this new group of friends, and they're all guys. They're all really cool. They all get along really well with Lou. But also in this friend group is this one woman that he calls Sally for this story. And Sally is stunning. She's beautiful. But Lou also knows that she's dated every single guy in this friend group. Some of the relationships were serious, others were not, but Lou knew that at least one of the men had been engaged to Sally at one point. It had ended on mutual terms and they got along. So Lou was like, I don't really care. They were really cool people. I liked hanging out with them and there didn't seem to be any drama. But Lou was dating this woman we'll call Maggie, and Maggie hated Sally. But Lou always thought that it was just because she was a little bit jealous of Sally because Sally was so gorgeous. That he had been with Maggie for a long time
You
and she
won,
really didn't
Liz.
have anything to worry about. So he always did his best to reassure her. He's like, look, there's no feelings here. She's dated like everybody else and she's just kind of one of the guys.
Okay.
Maggie was not having it and she did not want Lou around Sally at all. She's like, she just gives me bad vibes. I don't care if you don't have feelings for her. I would prefer if you didn't go out with them when she's there. And Lou's like, look, it's fine. And this actually became a point of tension between Lou and Maggie for a lot of it. And they ended up breaking up. It wasn't because of Sally or anything like that. I guess there were some other problems in the relationship anyway. Regardless, Maggie continues warning him not to hang out with Sally. She's like, she still gives me bad vibes. I just don't think you should date her. But fast forward a little bit, Lou is hanging out with this friend group like every single day for a period of 18 months, and Sally is almost always there. For a lot of this period,
I have Oracle
Sally was
cards.
actually in a relationship with a different man, but they ended up breaking
so
up sometime in this period.
That sounded
And
so
one
weird. I'm
weekend,
sorry,
the big
Mommy
friend group
Longlegs.
decides that they're all going to go on a weekend trip because everybody is pretty much
Good.
single.
I'm sorry you had to go
And
to
they
a
end up getting
funeral.
a few hotel rooms and sharing some beds. And Lou said he had no ulterior motives. He had no plans to share a bed with Sally, but that's just kind of the way that the cards landed. And he had always thought of her as a friend up to this point, even though he thought she was pretty, but that was pretty much the extent of it. But they end up going to sleep after everybody hangs out. There's like no hanky panky, nothing going on. But he's awoken from this dream and it's kind of a steamy dream, if you know what I mean. And he looks over and he's shocked because Sally's in the bed next to him, engaged with herself, I guess is how I should put it. He rolls over, pretends he's just asleep and he didn't see anything. But this night was the start of what became like a pattern of seduction on Sally's part. He said she would often invite him over, in which he would answer the door with no clothes on, or she would invite him into the bathroom while she was changing, things of that nature. He said he was doing his best to act.
One of my Lego pieces is broken. This piece is broken. It's supposed to be a flower. I don't know if I can. Let me put it on this. I'll put what it's supposed to look like. Hopefully they gave me an extra one. They usually do. So the bottom one is the broken one. And the top one is what it's supposed to look like. It's strongly worded email. That's okay. It looks like maybe it just didn't come out of the mold all the way. It only like the halfway in the mold or something. That's okay. There's usually an extra one. If there isn't, I have an extra purple flower over here that I'll use instead. But I'm just a little sad that one of the flowers is broken. It's broken, oh, excuse me. Okay, so we have a little bouquet of flowers. Gorilla Glue? Well, no, because it's only half a piece. The other piece isn't there. I just don't think it filled the mold all the way when they were making that piece. Okay. So we got some flowers there. Okay. Oh, I'll wait till I do the next step. Okay, let me. Your niece plays hockey and just me team. Oh my God. Congratulations. Oh, it cost $8,000. Damn. That sucks. I'm so sorry. She can't go.
Normal, but she was constantly like, you should come over before we go meet up with the rest of the guys. And then she would change in front of him and he never acted on it and she never acted on it. But over the course of the next few weeks, he began to be more and more attracted to her. One of the things that he found most appealing about her was her scent. He said it was just intoxicating. And he said, I've noticed the way that people smell before, but this was like something else entirely. And I would think of that smell long after I had left, or I would catch a whiff of it and it would just make me kind of desire her. But he still doesn't act. He actually starts dating another woman, which doesn't really go anywhere. And Sally continued flirting with him even after he told her that he was seeing another woman. I guess one day Sally calls him up. She's like, how's it going with this new woman? And he tells her, oh, it didn't really work out. And she goes, well, why don't we go on a friend date? Let's get some dinner, like without all the other guys. And he's like, you know what? I got nothing else to do. So he ends up meeting up with her. Going into it, he felt a little bit awkward, so he decided he was actually going to invite the rest of the guys, but they were all busy or unavailable that evening, and so it ends up just being him and Sally, and that date ended up in Sally's bed. Lou says that that was a huge mistake because this began a period of 8 months in which he basically completely lost himself. He ended up dropping out of his degree program. He went into a deep depression, and it caused this huge rift between one of his close friends and him. And that was one of Sally's exes, naturally. He said in this period, Sally pretty much just drained him entirely, mentally, physically. And she seemed to really enjoy the turmoil that she caused between him and the rest of the friend group. He said even though he knew that this relationship was toxic, was bad for him during this period, he could not leave her. But after 8 months, he finally had the courage. He was like, you know what, it's done. And he left Sally and actually began dating another woman. But the second that Sally said that she wanted him back, he left this new other woman, a decision that he said he still feels bad about because it left the other woman very hurt. Going back to Sally was a huge mistake too. And that's when things got really, really weird. And when he started thinking that she might be doing something else that was not just simple seduction. Night shortly after they had reconciled, he was over at her house and things were getting a little steamy, and she indicated to him that, let me think of how to put this. I'm going to heavily censor this, but use context clues, okay? She indicated to him that she wanted to make an incision in his skin with a sharp object and drink the liquid that courses through all of our veins. Said when she said this, he thought she was joking, but then she pulls out a kit that indicates that she has done this before and that she intends to do it to him. And he said he wanted to please her, so he said, okay, what could it hurt? So he lets her, okay? And he said the second that she started drinking that liquid that courses through his veins, she changed completely, and it was not even somebody he recognized. He said she pulled her head back and she was already really pale, but now her skin was translucent. Her eyes had turned completely black, like he couldn't even see her pupils, and she let out this blood-curdling scream. As she screamed, this liquid drips out of the side of her mouth, and that scared him. And he said, all of a sudden, I felt very dizzy. I didn't feel well. And she indicated that she wanted to make the incision wider and continue, but he told her that he wasn't feeling well. And this sent Sally into a complete rage where she flipped out. She started screaming at him and destroying things all over the apartment. Ended up getting over that fight. They continue seeing each other, but he said he never was able to shake that image of her face changing in front of him when she did that from his mind. And so he started trying to spend more time away from her. And he said every time he was around her, it felt like he was in this like haze. Like she just had all of this energy. He couldn't focus on anything else. But as he spent more time away from her, the haze would last for like a day, and then he would start to be clear-headed again. Said with each day apart, he would start to get more energy back and feel more like himself. But when he started really feeling like himself and kind of forgetting her, all of a sudden he would catch a whiff of her and she wouldn't even be anywhere around him. But it was like her scent, that one that intoxicated him, would fill the car or whatever room he was sitting in. And all of a sudden it was like he was being sucked back to her. They did end up breaking up finally when he found out that she had been seeing another guy in the friend group, one of her exes, behind his back. And as a result, he dove into his career. He cut contact with pretty much all of those guys, not before asking them if they were also intoxicated by her scent, but none of them knew what he was talking about. He was like, maybe it was just her pheromones and the way that they interacted with me, but like that scent followed me for years. And I ultimately ended up following my career and leaving the country for a little while, which ultimately severed ties completely. He said for a long time he would still smell her, but it's not like the way that you remember your grandmother's chicken parmesan and the way that it smelled. This was something else entirely. That when I would smell it, or when I would remember smelling it, that memory would overwhelm all of my senses. Like somehow I was supercharged and I felt like I had to get back to her. Never saw Sally again. And what I think is interesting about this, though, and what he said prompted him to send this story, is about 2 weeks ago, after not thinking of Sally in years, all of a sudden he was overwhelmed with her scent again. And he was like, wow, that's weird. And all of these memories came flooding back. And that's when later that day he logs onto social media. He didn't go looking for her, but sitting at the top of his social media feed is a suggested friend, which is Sally. And he said he briefly glanced at the photo, and even though it's been 15 years and she's in her like early 40s now, she looked the exact same as she did when she was in her mid 20s. Wow. He said, I'm not even going to lie, I did feel a tug to investigate further, but I ultimately decided against it, and I hope that's the last that I ever see her or hear from her again. So what do you think? Was Sally human? How did she overwhelm him with her scent? If you have a spooky, scary story that you think nobody believed, send it in. We would love to hear it. A girl named Liz wrote in and she shared her spooky scary dating experience, okay? And she says that she dated this man who claimed to be a warlock. And also, I have to say, because everyone always gets offended by something in these stories, this isn't meant to offend anyone who identifies as a warlock, okay? I know nothing about warlocks. This is just apparently what this man said he was to her. His mother apparently also identifies as a warlock. So it gets weird. But to start the story off, Liz was single after dating her ex for like 7 years. And she found out that he was basically two-timing her behind her back with one of her closest friends. And so after finding out and grieving that relationship for 2 years, she she's single. She decides she wants a serious
Maybe
relationship. She's
she's
ready to
just
settle
really
down.
good
She's 31 when this
moisturizer.
takes place. She joins an online dating app, and it was one
Really,
of those
Sammy.
online dating apps that you can see your mutual friends. And so she's swiping and she finds this guy, we'll call Jake for this story, I don't know. And Jake had a mutual friend with her, who was a guy that she went to college with. And that guy, she didn't really know that well, but he always seemed cool. So she was like, okay, whatever. And she's attracted to this guy's profile because he's attractive, but also he has in his description, like, looking for serious relationships only, must be open to deep spiritual conversations. And she was like, perfect. I want someone that I can have these deep conversations with. Also, obviously, she liked that he was upfront about wanting something serious. So she matches with him. They start talking. He's very charming. She's like, how do you know this guy that I went to college with? And he's like, oh, our families were really close family friends growing up, and I haven't talked to that guy in a long time. She's like, cool. And he's like, look, I don't really like to talk a lot on these apps. Like, I would rather just meet up and get to know you. Do you want to go get drinks with me? And she's like, okay. They meet up and there's no immediate red flags. He looks like his photos. He's very charming. He's very talkative. He doesn't seem shy or anything like that. He buys her drink at the bar. They sit down at a little two-top table, and she notices, like, the only red flag is that he is kind of flirty with everybody around them, like the waitress, bartender, even the two girls that are sitting next to them at the table. It's like, she said, for example, they were talking about football and he was like, I'm a Cowboys fan. And she was like, oh, I like whatever team. And he, for no reason, looks over the two girls. He's like, let me ask you two girls a question. Do you think that this team is better, or do you think the Cowboys are better? And the two girls answer, and then he sort of brings them into the conversation, and he's being very, like, flirty with them. But she said he was also kind of complimenting her through this conversation. It was just very weird how he would involve other people with the conversation. And when it seemed like he was flirting with the other girls too much, he would compliment her. Like, he would flip the script and he would be like, oh, by the way, this is Liz. This is our first date. Isn't she so gorgeous? Like, I don't deserve her. She said the whole exchange kind of made her feel awkward, but the date went well otherwise. They had a couple drinks. He ends up asking her if she wants to, like, go somewhere else, but she said it was like work night. So she ended up saying, no, I'm going to go home early, but she did like him. So then after she gets back, he texts her and he was like, I had a really great time. I would like to, like, hang out with you again. Do you want to get dinner this weekend? Like, I don't like to do dinner on the first date.
We all love
now
Nikki's
that I know that we get along,
accent.
I would love to take you to dinner. And she was like, perfect. Like, do you have a spot in mind? And he picks this place that she had been wanting to try anyway. So they make plans for that Saturday. Saturday comes around, they meet separately at the restaurant. He's already in the waiting area. He's like, I put our names in. And so they're just making small talk, and he's doing the same thing, kind of like flirting with other people around them, but still complimenting her. He's like, oh, this is Liz. This is our second date. Isn't she gorgeous? I don't deserve her. Time he was talking to this other couple that was waiting for a table, and when he did it, she kind of pulled him aside. She was like, hey, I noticed that you did this on our first date. Like, it just kind of makes me feel awkward. Like, obviously you do deserve me, at least that I know of. Like, we're here together. I like your personality. You don't have to do that. And he was like, oh, okay, it's just something I do. I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable. That's just my personality. I'm just very outgoing. I've always been outgoing. And she's like, no, it's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. And so then the hostess calls them. She's like, we have a table ready for you. And she takes them to this table. And Jake, for some reason, does not like this table. And he looks at the hostess. He's like, you can't do anything else for me. He goes, look at me in the eye. And the hostess does. And he's like, don't you think we deserve a better table? And she goes, yeah, you do. Without skipping a beat. She's like, okay, let me move you to a different table. And she positions them to a table that Jake deems somehow better. It's in the front of the restaurant. So they're sitting there. They order drinks. They order appetizers. And Jake's like, I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom. And as he's in the bathroom, notices this older couple that walks in, and it's this older man that's very well dressed and this older woman that's very well dressed. She's got all this, like, flashy jewelry on. Walk up to the host stand, give their name or whatever, and they don't even wait, even though there's, like, a massive wait for this restaurant. They just immediately start walking to a table that's very close to where Liz and Jake are sitting. And as they pass, this woman kind of gives Liz a weird look, and she clocks it because it was just like she lingered a little bit too long on Liz. Jake comes out of the bathroom, he sits down, and he's, like, talking to her, and then he stops talking. He's like, oh my God, my mom is here. This was like, I about spit out my water, because she's like, what do you mean your mom is here? And he's like, my mom's here. She's sitting over there. That must be her date for the night. And as he's, like, telling her this woman makes eye contact with him, and she gets up and she walks over to the table. She starts talking. Got a very good Jake, I didn't know you were going to be at this restaurant tonight. And then she looks at Liz and she's like, and you are? So Liz feels awkward, obviously. She stands up. She tries to shake her hand. She's like, oh, hi, I'm Liz. And then she looks at Jake like, are you going to introduce us? He's not contributing to this conversation at all. He's just, like, sitting there smiling and sipping his water. And his mom goes, and Liz, who do you worship? He goes, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, make eye contact with me when you speak to me. He goes, I asked you a question. And Liz goes, God. And the woman goes, And she goes, okay, well, Jake, I'll talk to you later. And she walks back over to her table and sits down with this man who's supposedly her date. And after she sits back down, Jake doesn't say anything about the exchange. Like, he doesn't offer any apologies. He's not like, my mom's weird. He just starts talking about something completely related. He's like, how's your day? And Liz was like, what's with your mom? Like, she's really pretty. She's really dressed, like, really well. Like, what does she do? It just goes, oh, she just has, like, a strong hold over, like, men. Like, she just goes out with a lot of different men. I guess kind of implying that his mom's, like, sort of a gold digger or something. The way that he says it doesn't seem to insinuate that he's, like, embarrassed about it or that there's anything wrong with it. It's just, like, a fact. Liz
Well,
was like, okay, well, do you hang out with your mom a lot? He's like, no,
sometimes
she's
the
really busy
truth
with her own
hurts,
life. Like,
Goose.
I only see her like every couple weeks. And Liz is like, okay, I guess I can deal with it, even though his mom is like kind of weird. And the rest of the day goes well. Jake pays for the day. He's very charming. He's very nice. He is still flirty with everybody else around him. But at this point, I guess she's just accepted that this is part of his
One of these?
personality. That night, they kept going out. They were basically in an exclusive
Yes.
relationship at like month 2. And he just seemed very much about
Can't
her.
wait
He
for
was
that
always
to feel
complimenting
good.
her, always
Oh,
validating her
man.
feelings, always being great at conversation, telling her how lucky he was that he
Those
found
wafers
her,
are
how
delicious. Those
excited he
kinds
was
of
for their future together, how he thinks that she could eventually potentially be the mother of his
wafer
children. Like
cookies.
really, really heavy, deep things, but things that she wanted. She says, looking back, she realized that he was love bombing her, but she didn't realize it at the time
I
because
think
he
this
was
goes
so
here.
charming with the way that he did it. So, like 3 or 4 months into their relationship, Christmas comes around and he gifts her this little tiny bag. And she thinks it's jewelry because the bag is so small. And she opens it up and it's this little piece of carved bone. And it's carved into like a rabbit, maybe a mouse, but it was like a tiny little animal. And around it was wrapped a piece of hair. Liz is like, what is this? And Jake's like,
I'm
oh, it's like a
jealous.
ritual my family does when they think that they found their person, like sort of a stand in for a promise ring. But you have to give me a piece of your hair because I have a matching one of those and I have to wrap your hair around mine. So this will keep us bonded. She said Jake was very like spiritual, so she didn't really see anything wrong with it. Like obviously she would have preferred
Get
something
some
else,
chocolate
but
cake
she gives
there.
him a piece
Chocolate
of her
cake,
hair.
please.
Keep in mind, at this point, nothing else in the relationship was off besides that weird interaction with his mom. Pretty much right after the holiday, Jake started getting a little bit more controlling. Like, for example, she had this friend that she would hang out with sometimes, and her friend was single, and her friend was kind of like hooking up with a lot of guys. And Jake didn't like this friend because he thought that somehow Liz being around her meant that Liz was also cheating on him anytime she went out with her. He would always talk bad about this friend, and Liz was
Hasn't
like, you know,
kicked in
listen,
yet.
like she's a really good friend to me. She's always been there for me. You don't have anything to worry
How you
about. Like,
doing, Sammy,
I'm
by
happy
the
in our
way?
relationship.
You
And
feeling
he's just like,
okay?
I just would prefer if you didn't hang out with her anymore. Basically told him too bad, and she continued hanging out with the friend. But every time she did, he would get like really, really upset and end up like fighting with her, stonewalling her, not talking to her until basically she apologized. Her friend ended up asking her one night to come out with her, and Liz didn't want to start a fight because they had just gotten off of like a fight. So she tells her, yeah, I'll meet up with you. And then she lies to Jake. And she's like, this was probably my mistake. But she lies to Jake and she tells him that she's going out with like a different group of friends. Well, she and this friend are out together, and he shows up at the restaurant where they're at. And he walks up to the table and he's like, how could you lie to me? I knew that you were here. And she's like, how did you know I was here? In front of her friend, he goes, I'm a warlock. He's like, haven't you noticed that everyone's attracted to me? Everyone does exactly what I tell them to do when I tell them to look me in the eye. Her friend is sitting there like, what the actual F?
Okay, that
Liz
goes
is like, Jake,
there.
I really don't want to do this here. Like, we'll talk later. And he's like, no. And he's like, basically yelling at her at this point. So she's obviously annoyed. She tells him to go home. She's not going to engage with him anymore. And she's really considering breaking up with him over this. She apologizes to her friend. She's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what his problem is. He used to be so sweet. Her friend's just like, yeah, I don't think you should continue with this relationship. She finishes out her night. She checks her phone. He has not texted her, but when she gets home on her porch, there is a little carved thing that she had wrapped her hair
Is that
around for him,
hibiscus or
except now it's
pearl
missing her
or
hair. She calls him. She's like, obviously, if we're going to break up, like, I'm going to break
that's
up
a
with him
different
over the
name,
phone.
Monster
And
Addict?
he answers and he's like, you're never going to be rid of me. I hope you know
Getting
that. And he
attacked.
hangs
What
up.
were you
So
attacked
Liz is like,
by?
whatever, freak. And she's just done with him. So they don't talk for a few weeks. And eventually she's like going through her stuff and she
I'm
sees the
glad it's
little
getting
thing that
better,
he's given
Sammy,
her
at
with
least.
his hair and she just tosses it in the trash. Like, doesn't think anything of it. She doesn't think she's ever going to talk to this man ever again. Until 2 days after that, she's getting
Oh,
home from work
Goose.
one
Oh,
day
that's
and
right,
she
your
said she was
Goose.
renting like one half of a
Sorry,
duplex. So she's
your
walking to her door and
profile
her neighbor
picture
comes
looks
out and
like some
and
other
her neighbor's like,
people
oh, hey, Liz, some
in my
lady dropped this
community.
package off for you. And she gives her like
That's
the
right,
little
your
bag and it
Goose.
looks exactly like the little gift
Well,
bag
you
in which he
know, you
originally
need to
gifted
get
her the
better
little
mod
carved
for
bone
your
piece with
mother.
his hair around it. And she opens it up and it's that. Obviously, it could have been a different one. She doesn't know for sure it was the same one that she had tossed. She doesn't think he rifled through her trash, but she asked her neighbor, like, who dropped this off? And the neighbor's like, oh, it was like an older lady. She was dressed very well. She had all kinds of flashy jewelry on. Liz is like, was that his
Oh,
mom?
there's
She goes inside, she
hibiscus.
opens up the bag, and there's like a little note in there. And it says, you will not be done with my son until I say so. And it's signed Mommy Warlock. Then she texts Jake a picture of it. And she's like, tell your mom to stop coming over to my house. Like, how does she even know where I live? This is super weird. I don't want you to contact me again. Jake tries to call her. She declines it. He texts her back. He's like, I can explain. Like, I don't really want your explanation, whatever, blocks his number because she's just done with him at this point. And then she decides she's going to reach out to her old friend from college. That was like his mutual friend. And she was like, hey, this guy, you know, I was just dating him. He was really weird. Like, what do you know about him? And the friend ends up saying that his mom and this guy's mom were friends, but the mom believed that she had done some kind of black magic on his mother. And like that ended the friendship. The weirdest thing she says is that she's had dreams since they broke up that his mother is standing over her while she's been sleeping. She's like, obviously, this is probably all
It
subconscious,
really
but that's my
helps.
crazy dating story.
You know, fine. You are perfectly
Scary story
fine,
time
Mod.
came from
Mods
Missouri, and she
don't
says, my
always need
mother-in-law
to be
cursed
in
me.
the
Her
chat.
husband doesn't even know she's sending this in, but she was like, I
She
just
has
have
a
to tell someone
backup
because I have no one in
mod.
my life that I can talk to about this. But I feel like it's women like this that give boy moms a bad rap. I know I am a boy mom, and people are always like, boy moms are weird. But Carrie said She's European, and 15 years ago, she moves to a new European country, and she's like immersed in the culture immediately. She learns the local language, and she's advancing in her career. Things are going well. She's getting promotions, she's getting raises, and everything in her life is just perfect. And as all of this is happening, she meets this local guy, and they hit it off. She falls in love, and they start dating. They're
Oh,
exclusive.
get in
Everything in
there.
the relationship is perfect. He meets all of her friends, her family, but after a year of dating, he still won't introduce her to his family. And she's like, "Why won't you introduce me to your family?" And he's just like, "They're
You
weird." And
stand
she's
with
like,
your
"Well,
fellow
I
mob
feel like if we're going to
goose.
move forward in this
All right,
relationship,
Goose, you
I would
got
really
some
like to meet
backup.
your family, just to know that you're serious about me." So he's reluctant, but finally he's like, "If that's what's going to make you feel better, fine, you can meet my family." And they come over. He says at first they were normal. Like his dad and his
I
brother were
mean, half of
engineers.
my
His mom is
mods
a
never
doctor.
show up for
And
my
his dad and his
streams.
brother are nice enough, but it becomes very clear at this first meeting that his mom does not like Carrie. And she starts
So,
saying things like, "Oh, you should be with someone from your own
let me
country."
see.
And she said she wanted to be clear that people in this country are sort of just wary of foreigners. So she was kind of going above and beyond to prove that she was worthy of this
Oh
woman's
no.
son. Like she was like, "I can cook, I work." Things that she thought this woman valued, but the meeting does not really go well. The mom is just kind of giving her the stink eye the entire time. But they go home and she's like, "I'm not going to punish my boyfriend because his mom doesn't like me." She's just thinking that eventually his mom will come around. But a few weeks after that, the mom actually invites them over for dinner. And she gets over there. She's actually excited because she's like, "This is my chance to like prove to her that I'm good for her son." But she gets there, they walk in, and there's a strange woman sitting at the table. And her boyfriend is acting really
Oh,
weird.
why
He
are there
told her,
so many extra
"That's my ex-girlfriend.
pieces?
I don't talk to her. I don't know why she's here." And it turned out that the mother had invited his ex-girlfriend, I guess with the hopes that they would get back
I
together or
have
something. It was very strange. But again,
this
Carrie's like
many. Oh,
not
you
going to
can't see
punish her
them.
boyfriend because he didn't know anything about it. He's just explaining, "My mom's old fashioned. She'll come around." So Carrie is
This
patient. She's
many
waiting it
extra
out, still
pieces.
hoping that the mother will eventually like her. Fortunately, it only got worse for Carrie. Anytime they were around his
Happy
mom,
yours
she
on
would
show. So
openly
we only have
insult her
two.
in front of her son, in front of Carrie. She would talk directly to her son and be like, "I wish you would just be
Oh,
with someone from the region." And her
all
boyfriend would
right.
kind of be like, "Mom, this is inappropriate," like kind of standing up for Carrie, but it just
I
never
have
really
10
got better.
people in here. It's very late. So I am. Here's what we got done. We have 3 of the pieces of the wreath. So I will have to. I'm getting very tired. It's almost midnight. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. So I'm gonna go to bed. Boop boop boop. I don't know if I'll finish this on stream or if I'll just finish it and just chill and just take some time to relax. You're on your phones watching me on the TV. That's funny. It is going to go on my front door. It's going to be my front door wreath for this spring. It is going to be. I'm going to do the bunny one. I'm going to do the bunny head one. So that is what. Open laptop. It's going to be the bunny one. Because I needed a spring wreath for my door. And I saw this one. And I said, yes, I want it. So. Get the first one at Aldi in the morning. Oh, that sounds like a tall task. What time does your Aldi open? It is super cute. I love Lego. I've spent way too much money on Lego as I'm looking at the Rivendell one right in front of me that I need to open up and build. It's massive. And I have a light kit that I bought for it. So it'll have lights on it as well. So that'll be fun. I need to watch the video on how to install the light kit because it's come here. I'm struggling. I'm I'm dropping things. The Rivendell, yeah, it's right in front of me and I want to build it, but I don't have anywhere to put it at the moment. Yeah, so there's this company that makes light kits that you can put in your Lego sets, and they're these little LED lights, that as you're building it, you put the LED lights. So I need to watch the video for how to do it. So it's for Rivendell. But that'd be cool, chocolate cake. Queef, you didn't get it to work? But that sucks. Yeah, I'll probably sleep in. You agree with Mama? Yeah, I'm tired. So I probably need to work this weekend for job number 2. So I'll need to probably do work this weekend too. Yeah, I haven't used one yet, chocolate cake queef. The instructions are online. So I'm going to have to watch the video and then I'll see if I can figure it out. So as I saw that, I was like, that's so cool. I want a light kit for my Rivendell. And then I bought one for my D&D one as well, for the Dungeons and Dragons one. PTO. I don't take PTO from job 2 unless I know, like, hey, I'm not working at all this week. And then I'll take some time off. But it's supposed to be part-time. So I don't always work 40 hours. Sometimes I just do 15 or 20. But since I did more streaming this week, I haven't been doing as much work yet. Good night, Maggie. Get some sleep, love. Have a good day tomorrow. So I need to, yeah, it's supposed to be part-time. Whenever I knocked a piece off. I was working for a company and doing some contract work on the side for another company. And I was going to be hired full-time by a third company. And I was going to leave both of my jobs, my full-time and my contract work, to go work for company 3. Well, the company that I was doing contract work for, I'd worked with some of the people before at a previous job, and the CEO of that company was the one that got HR in touch with me to do contract work. So the guy that I was working with, I'd worked with before, and he told the CEO, he's like, hey, he's like, Libby's going to be taking a job with one of our competitors. She's been offered a job. And if she goes to work for them, you know, of course, she can't do work for us anymore as a contractor. So the CEO is like, ask her if she'll come work for us if we make her an offer. And I said, okay. Yeah, I'm like, I'll come work for you guys. So the CEO was like, he had HR call me. And she's like, all right. She's like, Joe, that's our CEO's name. She's like, Joe is going to make you an offer. She's like, let me get together an offer letter. She's like, we have to go to the board to get the position approved. She's like, but we want you to come on full time. So I turned down company 3 and I went to work full time for the company that I was doing contract work for. But we were in the middle of two huge projects for the job. I know this is already confusing, but we were in the middle of 2 huge projects for the company that I was full time for. So I told my manager, I'm like, I don't want to leave you guys in a lurch. So if I can, if they'll let me, I'll stay on part time. to work on these projects. So the dick at HR, the HR director guy, he's a dick. He was like, "Well, yeah, but she can't work more than 30 hours a week." And it's like, "Okay." Well, turns out that was bullshit because I'm still listed as a full-time employee. So at job number 2, I'm hourly. So I just put hours on my time card. So but for the last half of last year, I was working 40 to 50 hours a week at job 2 and then my 40 hours at job 1. So even though job 2 is supposed to be part-time, a lot of the time I still put in nearly full-time hours, if not more. Hey, Wyoma. So, um, so yeah, so I'm still at job 2 because we are still working on these projects. Uh, so I'll probably be there until August, at least. But they keep asking me if I'm happy at my full-time job because they don't want to lose me. They want me to come back to them full time. Um, so I'm like, well, they're kind of getting the best of both worlds. The company's not paying me benefits because I declined them because I have it through my other job. I'm like, and they're only paying me for the hours I work. If I only work 20 hours a week, I only put 20 hours on my time card. So I'm like, they still technically have me as a full-time employee. But yeah, but things are picking up again. So I'm going to have to start working more than I have been, which may cut into my streaming time. I'm still going to try to stream. I'm a technical writer. I do documentation. For one job, I make training materials for us to train our customers on products. Well, I do that for both jobs. But I make installation manuals, operation and maintenance manuals, service manuals for our products. I make the illustrations for the manuals. I write the manuals. I work with the engineers to get the information, make the manuals. So, do what makes me happy. Well, being a bum would make me happy. Just playing video games would sounds interesting. It's all right. I mean, I love what I do. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it for 2 different companies if I didn't enjoy what I do. Um, but not the ones in Chinese. No, not the ones in Chinese. I work with people in Hong Kong. We That's why I have meetings on Thursday night and Monday night. Because our design team is in Hong Kong. Someone has to make the manuals you don't read. Pretty much. Yeah, no. Unless you work with conveyors or with like data center cooling products, you wouldn't have ever seen any of mine that I've worked on. So, the first thing I do when I buy something, I look at the manual and I critique it. This manual sucks. No. So, Yeah, it's in manufacturing quality. Okay. Totally get that. I know you'd have to use for manufacturing, it would probably be more like work instructions if the people on the floor are like building something. I don't like work instructions. I don't like making them. Usually a manufacturing engineer needs to make those. The instructions to put together Timu furniture, I threw it away and had to go dig it out of the dumpster. That's funny. Automotive manufacturing. Okay. Oh, I know. I have a friend that lives in Tennessee that used to work for the company that made like gear shifters for Ford. That plant got closed. Yeah, I don't like work instructions. The manufacturing engineers are supposed to make them. They're very boring. They're very I mean, I made them for one of our conveyors and I did not enjoy it. I can do it, but I don't want to. Cam housing for Toyota. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't like making them. Digging it out of the garbage, it was nasty. And other stuff. Gotcha. Yeah, our conveyor stuff is used by mostly shipping companies and like warehouses. Nobody's gonna watch this to get your information. If you like, I can go back and remove this part of the video. Once it gets uploaded, I can delete it this part in the morning. Yeah, nobody's gonna watch my Lego build. Your dad had a belt running through his desk for the stock market? A conveyor belt? Right, Jenny? I would think that, but some people in Girl World be crazy. Yes, with the ticker tape. That's crazy, Sammy. It's funny. Yes, Jenny, Voldemort is insane. And many others. Pay no mind to my light switch that's missing the cover. I need to replace. I what I replaced all the light switches in my house with gray light switches. I just haven't got around to changing this one. Your dad was talking about being in a stock club. I need to learn how to play the stocks. You know, I use the app called Stash. I use it for my investing. I don't know shit about stocks. So, sometimes I'll like every few weeks I'll Google, "Hey, what's the best stocks to buy this week?" And I'll go read some article and be like, "Okay, I'll look at that one." Hobo chic. Oh, with the with the light switch missing. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. I need to paint my cabinets too and replace my kitchen counters. I'll get around to it. That's why I'm working two jobs. I need to get my basement finished. So all my money from job 2 is going to go towards that to get my basement finished because that's going to be freaking expensive. You bought crypto but you don't know how it works. I don't understand crypto either, and I'll probably never buy crypto. It seems too volatile. Your entire downstairs is millennial gray. Oh, you love it. This my the main level of my house. I forget. Oh, there's thunderstorms nearby. Is this color because I had to. Oh no, it's that color. Wolf gray. Wolf gray is the color of my bathrooms. And my accent wall over here. Doubled in value. Well, that's awesome. I replaced all of my blinds, but over here, my coffee bar and accent wall. It's wolf gray. My bathrooms, 2 of my bathrooms are that color. I forget what color. I thought the main color that I painted the main level was going to be more of a gray color, but it's more of a blue. It also depends what color light is hitting it. Your brother is big brained and he agrees I should stay away from crypto. Oh. Yeah. Whenever I do house projects, I usually post pictures in Discord. So I need to hang up some shelves, some more shelves in the living room. I hung up a few weeks ago. 90s wallpaper. Oh yeah. We had 70s wallpaper in my house growing up. Oh, all right. My old ass needs to go to bed. We will finish this. I may finish this off camera and just chill. Oh yeah, somebody said have a spa day. I had a massage last weekend. I'll probably schedule another massage next weekend. I might make it 2 hours instead of 1. 70s linoleum in your downstairs bathroom. I need to get the flooring and the toilet replaced in my half bath down here. I already replaced the mirror, the light fixture, and the vanity. I did the light fixture myself, but I need to get the floor redone. I had my guest bathroom upstairs redone. That wasn't cheap. What did I work on? I worked on this, and we're not done with it. It's a spring wreath. So you don't know about people rubbing up on you skeeves you out a little bit? Who's rubbing up on you, Jenny? Rowley Libby chatting the best mod ever, Goose. Oh, the massage. I talked about a massage. I'm sorry. I completely forgot. Yeah, I don't either much, but I've been going to Amanda for over a year now. because my dietitian said that I needed to do self-care. And I sit at my desk all the fucking time, and my neck is very, very sore. My back gets sore. I don't have her do my legs because nobody needs to touch my legs. So, but yeah, but Amanda's pretty cool. She's the one, it was her tattoo artist that I went to for this tattoo down in Springfield. So, sleep care, self care. Yeah, I don't know what it is either. She was able to get right on top of you. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Yeah, well, if you all are still awake, go watch Jenny do some dishes and hang out with Jenny if you all are night owls. Yeah, Amanda will use her elbows and things, of course, if she needs to. But I've been going to her for a year now. So typically it's not too terrible. Oh, totally get it, Wyoma. Totally get it. I'll have her do a face massage too. And occasionally I'll do a scalp massage with hot oil. So it's nice and relaxing. I had her do Reiki last time, or time before last when I went. I had her do Reiki, and she put me to sleep doing Reiki. Oh man, chocolate cake queef. I'm sorry. That sounds painful. Does massaging help that? Massaging helps my hands and my wrist. So I always have her work on my hands and wrists too. It's starting to thunder here. I dated a guy in high school. I know, I thought I was straight. And he had a couple of vertebrae I think fused in his spine. He had a metal rod in his back. And he had tremors. He shook. Oh man, Jenny, that sucks, Goose. I'm sorry. Goose grew 3 inches. Getting taller. How's Bob? Is that the goose's name? Bob? The employee of Goose Inc. Scoliosis is, oh man, that sounds awful. I'm so sorry. Mm. It comes and goes. Sometimes massage makes it 100 times worse. Oh, yeah. I think it's my arthritis around the fusion that causes such pain. I have a plate and screws at C3 and C4. I'm not sure where those are in the back. I don't remember where the different pieces of the spine are. He said if he fixes this disc, I won't be able to turn my head at all. Oh. Bob was loved tonight. We'll see how he's treated tomorrow. Bob needs to be a good employee. I mean, Rory might chew on him. In the neck, I have kind of cadaver cartilage. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, chocolate cake queef. But hey, they're not using it right. You might as well use it. That sucks. I knew a guy in college that couldn't turn his neck. He had to, like, kind of turn his body to look. That would suck. To not be able to turn your neck. Life of nursing. You've been lifting. Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah, it's a lot of wear and tear on the body. It's a thankless job. That's for sure. All right, y'all. I'm sitting here yawning at you. So I may see you all tomorrow. I don't know if I may play some video. Oh, I need to watch Rosie tomorrow. So I'll need to do a Rosie stream tomorrow at some point. And make sure that I put that on a time. She was only live for an hour, so it won't take us long to get through it tomorrow. But I hope you all have a wonderful night. Go watch Ginny do some dishes. I'm going to listen to Thunder as I go to bed. Hopefully it doesn't get too nasty. I don't think it's going to. So I hope you all have a good night. At least you're able to do that for her, Chocolate Cake Queef. So, but I hope you all have a wonderful night. Rest well, get your dishes done, all that jazz. I need to put my brownies in the fridge. So, see you all tomorrow. Until next time, be safe and take care. I don't have an outro video, so